Hey guys, so welcome back to the channel. I'm going to start off with a couple quick updates because this short little video I just wanted to take a minute and talk about another Legion video, which I'll preface that with the reason I'm doing another quick little Legion video is because, well, Legion seems to be one of the hot things right now, and you know that's what people have been asking for, and I've been reading a few things that I wanted to talk about today, but it won't be a very long video. The other thing that I wanted to mention with this being another Legion video is that I do have a couple other videos in the works, but you know I wanted to do them right. You're going to see from me over the next probably, I don't know, 5 days, let's say. I'm going to be doing a kind of a video gameplay / review on the board game Blood Rage. It's not a super new game, but it's a great game, and I had some players tonight who asked me if I could bring it in and teach them how to play and show them the game. So I thought, hey, yeah, I will, and what a great excuse to do a little video on that as well. So you can look forward to that. In addition, if you've watched some of my other stuff, you'll notice that I do kind of a weekly D&D video where I talk about the adventures that I'm running a party through in the Underdark using the Out of the Abyss campaign guide for 5th edition D&D. I won't have one of those this week. Unfortunately, we have a few people who can't make it, and it's enough that we're just going to say, you know what, we'll postpone our usual weekly play session and we'll just do the following week. But I still wanted to have something, so I will be having one of my players on to chat with me, and we're going to talk about, you know, just kind of all things RPG, her experience playing the game, all kinds of stuff like that. So that's another thing you guys can look forward to in the meantime. But what I wanted to talk to you about today was that it's been my experience a little bit, and some of the experiences of the players that I've been playing with, as well as some of the comments that I've seen in the Star Wars Legion Facebook group. A couple people have said, well, you know, are the Rebels more balanced than the Imperials? And even in some of the demo games that I ran at the local hobby shop, North Bay Games and Hobbies, the Rebels seem to be taking a lot of the wins. And what I have come to surmise in both playing as the Imperials and watching games being played is that the reason for this is because there is less finesse required at this point. If you're just playing out of the starter box, there's less finesse of gameplay required if you are playing the Rebels. And what I mean by that is that the Rebel box set basically gives you, right, 2 troops of Rebels with all the upgrades you could want for it for now, as well as an ATRT and Luke Skywalker. So Luke Skywalker is a slightly less powerful version of Vader that is much faster. So he's very good at closing the distance to your stormtroopers and hacking them to bits. And he's going to do that. And if he's not going to do that, then he's still going to shoot at you with his really good little pistol that rolls like 2 red dice and has Pierce 2. So it's going to hurt. So they have that. In addition to that, Luke weighs in at like 160 points naked, and then you're going to give him a couple force powers that maybe will get him into the 180 something range, right? And then you've got your 2 squads of Rebels that weigh in at 40 points apiece, and a lot of people usually give them the Z6, I think it's called. It's like the big Gatling gun that they carry around, and that is a relatively cheap upgrade. I think it's like 20 odd points to fit that in, and it's adding 6 dice to your squad's attack from one guy. And yes, they're white dice, you know, which are like the worst dice to roll, but think about that. 6 white dice from one guy, that's an entire squad of stormtroopers that are all equipped with E11s. So it's not really that terrible. And then your ATRT, again, is kind of dirt cheap. I can't remember just right off the top of my head its exact point cost, but I wanted to say it was like between the range of 40 and 50 points for your ATRT, and then you put a weapon on it. So the point spread across the Rebel team is fairly even keel. Now, here's where the problem happens in terms of requiring a little bit more finesse if you're playing the Imperials from the starter box, is that Vader himself without anything is 200 points, which is about half of what you got at the table in one model. So yes, you also have 2 squads, and yes, you also have 1 support option, but look at it this way. The Imperial support option is 90 points. The Rebel support option is like, we'll say 60-something points after you put an upgrade on it. Okay, 70-something points maybe. Your squads weigh in about evenly, but your stormtroopers are usually throwing less dice. And, you know, some people say, well, you give them their own little heavy machine gun upgrade. And yes, you know, you're right. It adds 2 dice. It does have a longer range, and they are red dice. But I don't know. I've just found in a lot of games, a lot of tabletop war games, that it's often good to, you know, err on the side of just more dice. You know, it's like, for example, some people will play 40K, and they'll be running entire armies that have armor saves of 3 up or 2 up or whatever. Even like we'll use a better example of invulnerable saves that, you know, never go down for the most part, and they'll be like 3 up or 4 up invul saves. And people saying, how do I deal with this? How do I deal with this? And I'm like, well, weight of fire is how you deal with that. You know, if they only fail on a 1 or a 2, well, then make them roll 100 saves, and they'll get enough 1s and 2s that it'll suck for them. So that's the same way I feel here, is that, you know, the rebels might be throwing white dice with their machine gun upgrade, but it's 6. And if they have aim tokens, they're getting their rerolls. And if they have targeting scopes, they're getting more rerolls, and blah, blah, blah. So anyways, the bottom line is that it's not that the rebels are more balanced. It's not that, you know, the Imperial stuff isn't as effective. It's that if you want to win with the Imperials using just the box set, then you have to become excellent at using Vader, because he basically is half your force. And that means he has a lot of weight to pull on that table. And a lot of people say, well, the problem with Vader is that he's too slow. The problem with Vader is that people can just, you know, gun him down from a distance, yada, yada, yada. Well, this is the finesse I'm talking about. It's about playing Vader smart. And when it comes to playing Vader smart, it means 2 things. It means utilizing the cover on the table that's available to you, you know, aka, you know, move from cover to cover with him to get him up the board. Don't be afraid to do your double move actions, and know when to put down a dodge token. Now, this is all common sense stuff, but where it gets to the tweaking part, and this is, you know, this is actually messaged someone, like there was a comment thread going on that Star Wars Legion Facebook group, and one of the things that we discussed that I kind of made him aware of is that in order to really make Vader work for you, you have to master his action economy, and that means utilizing the free actions that he can gain from his force powers, in addition to his relentless ability. So there's a couple things to point out there, and I'm going to first give you an example of what I mean, and then kind of break it down for those of you who might want to stick around that long. So I had an example where I had, I was the Imperial player, and Vader had moved up. It was my turn now, and I should set the stage a little bit that, you know, I'm not talking about a scenario where I'm starting the game. So Vader's not on the other side of the board. I've gotten Vader into a position where now he has 2 targets available to him. He's here, and he's got a unit of rebel troops here and a unit of rebel troops here that are both behind heavy cover. So I'm going to tell you right now that I worked the scenario that I'm describing to you to give Vader 5 actions in 1 turn, assuming I'm playing the game right, which I think that I am. 5 actions in 1 turn that resulted in both of those squads being destroyed. Now, one squad, to be fair, only had 1 guy left, just had the squad leader left. The other squad was, I think, missing 1 guy. It was a troop of 5 or 6 rebel squads, or rebel troopers. So here's what Vader does. Vader uses his first activation to move up 1. All right, now he's within range 1 of both of these units, but at the extreme end of range 1. So he says, okay, I have 1 action left. What do I do? Well, action 1, free. Give himself a dodge token just in case. We want to hedge our bets. He's half our army. We don't want to lose him. So Jedi reflexes or Force reflexes, now I have a free dodge token. And you can remember, you can perform as many free actions as you want as your turn, just as long as they're not the same action twice. So you give him a free dodge token after his move. The next thing you do is you say, okay, I'm going to use Force Push. A totally underutilized power, I think, because Force Push can also be Force Pull. All it says is take the squad in question and force them to do a speed 1 move of your choosing. So you can take that unit that is a range 1 away, and you can say, I'm going to Force Push or Force Pull them, and now you've moved the whole squad closer to you, essentially making Vader faster. And again, that's another free action. Not classified as an attack, just a free action. His third force power is Force Choke, and he's going to put that into play as well. Another free action. What does that do? snuffs the squad that had just one guy. So now he's only got one squad to worry about. If it's like an attrition game, you've just scored a point for killing a unit. If that unit hasn't activated yet, you've just taken a token out of the pile. Whatever, he's dealt with the one squad. Now, he's done a move, Jedi reflexes, force push, and force choke. That's 4 actions so far, and he's still not done. So the next thing he's going to do is he's going to utilize his second move to go into combat with the now moved closer squad to him. And Relentless says as soon as you do a move action, you can do an attack. And he hasn't done an attack yet. So that's actually my mistake. That's 6 actions in one turn. And yes, I know it was a perfect circumstance, but you can pick this apart for different elements that basically say, I can use Vader in a way that is, you know, move, force choke, or I mean, I know that a lot of it has to do with distance, but you can move, force pull, move, and attack, and you're really getting him to be a lot faster than he would be otherwise. Not to mention that if guys happen to survive that attack, you've got that dodge token. If you kill everyone and you're not in combat, you're out in the open, you've got the dodge token to start deflecting shots back at the other guys and causing additional wounds. So you've taken a single model and made him quite the force to be reckoned with, the force to be reckoned with, and in his utility and what he can accomplish from a damage standpoint, from a, you know, drawing enemy fire standpoint, all kinds of things. So, you know, I don't want people to get too caught up in the idea of, you know, well, the rebels seem to get more done, or it's, you know, Vader hamstrings the force because he's so many points and so slow. It's like, no, I don't think that's necessarily, excuse me, I don't think that's necessarily the case. I think that you just have to be smart in the way that you play him up the field. You have to be smart in the way that you manage his action economy, and I guess in the way that you choose to upgrade his force powers. But if you do that, I guarantee you're going to get the results you're looking for, and the enemy will either ignore him because he's one guy and shoot at everything else, which will be a mistake for them because the game will end with the Vader being the only thing left on the table, or alternatively, they'll have to force themselves to push fire onto Vader, which he'll probably weather a few turns of, and then that's leaving your other squads free to move up the table. Again, I know that can be some extreme circumstances, and no plan survives contact with the enemy and all that good stuff. But ultimately, you know, I just wanted to put out there the idea and the strategy, I guess you'd call it, of the way that you play Vader. So thanks for watching my video, and like I said, keep an eye out for future videos in the next couple days that'll go over board games and RPGs, D&D, that kind of stuff. So yeah, thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.